Hi, today we're actually going to be working on a still life. So still life is a picture of objects that you place in front of you. I posted a picture of what I'm drawing on this assignment. I'm drawing a mug and an apple and this tiny little plant. So I have them in front of me to look at while I draw. You need to choose at least 3 things to draw, but no more than 7 things. So I would do maybe 3 or 4 different things, put them out in front of you, and we're going to draw them together. So you really only need a pencil and an eraser today. And if you want to add color later, you can, but just stick to the basics. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at your objects, and whatever is in the foreground, meaning the front of your picture, you draw first. So for me, my apple is in the front. So when I draw my apple, I'm going to draw pretty large on my paper and draw really lightly. So the apple will be in front of the cup. So my cup is back here. And again, I'm drawing lightly. So I can see that my cup actually goes behind the apple. So you're not going to see that line because the apple's in front of it. So I'm getting the basic shapes. I have a handle that comes behind the apple. And then the plant that I'm drawing is over here. It's not touching the apple. There's a little bit of space in between. So I'm just getting my spacing right. So now that I have the drawing portion done, I'm going to go back in and add the details. So my apple, I can go back in and make a darker line now. And if I don't like a line that I made, I can fix it up a little bit. So my apple, my stem is down here. Okay. This I'm gonna go back in here like this and add that rim. Now the plant part, it's a bunch of stems. It's called a succulent. Okay, so now that this plant is in front of that, I'm gonna erase those lines in the middle there. There's some dirt. Okay, and now my mug. Up and around. Back of the mug. So this line looks funny to me, so I can go in there and fix it. And erase what I can. Here's my handle. And you might want to include the table behind it, so that has something to sit on. Okay, so now, this is where it starts to get a little bit trickier. After you've drawn your items, what's important to do is add shadows and highlights. So when you look at your objects, it's important to look at where the sun is coming from. You're probably going to have one side of your objects have shadows and the other side have highlights. So to start with your shadows, look underneath your 3 objects. And I use the side of my pencil to shade. We're gonna do a little bit of shading today. So there's a shadow underneath my plant. And I also noticed that there's a shadow to the right of this vase. And as I get closer to the left, that's where the highlight will be. My dirt is dark, so I'm gonna color that in with my pencil. Okay, my apple, again, it's dark on the same side as the vase. And I'm going to color that part darker. And if you want, you can actually use your finger to smudge it better. Okay, my stem even has a shadow on it. And there's a shadow underneath the apple that comes out this way. And again, I can use my finger if it's easier. Okay, now the cup, same thing. Shadow on the same side. I'm gonna use my finger, smudge it, and I'll smudge the bottom. So again, there's a shadow. This shadow actually kind of meets the apple shadow. And then there's also a shadow inside my mug right here. And there's a shadow underneath the handle right here. So you're just mapping out basic shadows, and it's okay if it's not perfect. This might be your first time doing this. So just experiment. And if it doesn't come out the way you want it, that's okay. If you want to add a highlight in there, it got too dark, you can use your eraser. Your eraser can clean up and give you that highlight again. Okay, so that's it for the still life. Then you can go ahead and color it if you have coloring. Like markers or crayons are probably your best options, but you could also watercolor it. Good job on the still life. If you'd like to email it to me, you can. Otherwise, you can bring it into school when we return.